morning to all of you. We would like to welcome in this year 2025 Ops Forum. As you know, for those that were last year, we had a fantastic event organized in collaboration with Embraer. We brought the demo aircraft of the E2 and we went to visit Scaffold. However, we know we have a different setting today. There are many challenges from last year's event, from September. We see a lot of geopolitical changes and stability, but at the same time we have seen many, unfortunately, accidents that happened over the last year, with also in the United States, in India recently, last week, and in Korea and so on. Then this affects the way we do operate as an industry. Then achieving operational excellence for everyone is a theme of this year. It's quite critical for our industry. However, there are many factors that affect the way we operate, and with this environment, as an industry, you know very well, we are the ones that we are first affected with any external crisis and the last to recover. We saw that with COVID, we saw with economic crisis in the last decade. Well, we hope that the current geopolitical instability will not last for long. You know very well that apart blocking areas that are not accessible due of this current situation, we have also other issues, other factors that it's fuel prices that might go up and affect. It's 25% almost of the average of the cost of an airline are the fuel prices, but from the other side we have also the environmental impact that as an industry we work quite actively in order to improve. We have today a fantastic panelist, and also part of the operation is to facilitate the passenger, because at the end of the road the one who is, let's say, the king is the passenger, and we need to make his life or her life much easier. Then today we will start with a great panel that the Vice-Rector of the University of the Aegean will moderate, and we speak about EUDI, Wallet Meets Biometrics panel, initiating a new wave of digital transformation in the aviation industry. Then Petros, it's better to sit, not to be standing in the podium, to moderate the panel. Then trust me, we saw that discussion a month ago when we organized the DG Aviation Forum. It was really amazing what they plan to do. Then I leave to the great hands of Petros to moderate the panel. Thank you, Petros.
Thanks, Kostas. Good morning, everyone. With Kostas, we designed this specific session together with Kostas in order to explore a new tool, a new opportunity which is available now to the key passenger. And this tool opportunity is called European Identity Card. This is a digital card. This is a new policy for the European Union to provide all citizens in all European countries with a specific digital card. And this is an authoritative card. It is stored in our mobile phone, and in a way it changes the game, since you can use this card to be identified as a citizen to any European place, to any place in Europe. Any activity, digital or physical, will integrate this card and identify people based on this card. You can easily understand that this card is immediately of the interest of the aviation industry, airlines, airports. People are familiar with the concept of unique cards for passenger identification. We know that from the work done within IATA or ICAO. Of course, this card is a broader concept. It's not only an identity card, it's a bunch of cards, including passport, including other identification documents of the citizen, for example, driving license, academic diplomas, everything that will identify us we included in this concept of the card and the wallet will be provided by the government. So it will be an official wallet, a government-supported wallet, a secure wallet, a private-friendly wallet, so everybody can use it either as a passenger, in the case of the aviation, or as a live party to make the process of identification and authorization of the passengers to have access to the different airport or airline facilities. We will talk today on this concept and practice of the European identity wallet for two reasons. Because it's going to become a hot thing next year from 2026. The different governments of the European Union will provide this wallet, and the standards of the wallet will be the same for all countries. And we can also see other countries outside of Europe to be interested to integrate the same standards and provide similar services to their citizens. So this is the first reason. The second reason is the fact that the wallet includes an identity card with biometrics. And that means this gives the opportunity to the aviation industry, to the airlines, to the airports, to use this biometric information in order to improve their services. We are aware of many investments happening now in the different airports and by the airlines regarding exactly the use of biometrics in providing access to the gates and security checks, etc., to the passengers. We believe that it is the time now to make the bridge between this new concept of decentralized identity stored in our wallet with biometrics. So we'll have the opportunity to discuss in the two different aspects of the issues. What is the European Identity Wallet? How it is implemented, because it's implemented through a process. It's not just a policy thing, it's an implementation also. Initiative from the European Commission. Big consortium are funded to provide the specific technologies we need in order to implement these technologies, and then the bridge with biometrics, how we can create this bridge. So welcome the speakers in this session. Nikos Triantafylloy from the University of Aegean, I4M Lab. Nikos, and one of the leading developers of EU DI Wallet Consortium. Big consortium included many companies and universities across Europe, where we already developed the concept of using this identity within the first company. And then Rob is from a partner company, Tech5, located mostly in Switzerland, but with activity around the world, not only Europe, in US, Africa, Latin America. Rob will explain us. So Nikos, please.
Thank you.
Have a seat. So we have Rob. So we have presentations available. So we'll send to you the presentation so you can follow them in detail what we will present today. So Nikos, please, could you give us an example of this European digital identity and how it can be used in a specific concept of a transportation company?
Yeah, definitely. So first of all, we should really clarify that the European Digital Identity Wallet isn't about a single app that's being provided to the citizens. It's more like a certified container of identity documents. Of course, the member states, the government will issue to this wallet the national identity of all citizens, which will be made available to them, and this basically unlocks the whole process. Now, with respect to the travel industry, from our early pilots, we believe that it's going to be a disruptive technology. Basically, you can think of it as having inside your phone, securely stored and bound to this device and bound to you, and not being able to share this and steal it to someone else. You will have your identity documents, you will have your passport, you will have your boarding passes. Everything you need to travel will be at all times in your disposal. And you can safely and securely present this to anyone that is requesting that, of course, under your sole control. So you are responsible for enabling this transport of information, which can be instantly then verified and linked back to the issuing authority without needing to essentially to phone home, as we usually say, right? So there is no centralized database containing all this information. The information is stored inside your phone, it is bound to the device, it is enabled by biometrics, the authorization to disclose this, right? And it's linked back to the government authority that has issued it in the first place. So we have been actually applying this technology and piloting it in the ferry industry at the moment, and the results are very promising. What we have seen is a huge reduction in every aspect of the journey. So from booking the ticket and paying for it, so the wallet can also support payment as well, combined with identity. So you have the experience. Unfortunately, it's not possible today to show a demo, but we have the material available to share. You are able to pre-fill all the required information for booking of a ticket, authorize the payment of the ticket, and then eventually, when available, receive the boarding pass inside your wallet with a single tap of the phone, or the single scanning of the QR code, right? All of this. So from a few minutes, so maybe like 10 minutes it will take to book a ticket, it takes a few seconds now. And then when you go to the ferry, instead of having to manually present the documents, right, you can just again tap your phone and present your boarding pass, your passport, your identity card together to the relying party, to the authority that is requesting this. So you really can see the immediate benefit of simplifying the user journey, right? And
Aviation ecosystem, then it's under operation.
We feel home.
And that's the beauty actually of it, that all of this technology is not only applicable in one domain, it can be very easily transported from the ferry industry to the aviation industry and to other sectors as well, to the airport in general, not only the airlines and the airport. So imagine, for example, taking in to leave your luggage at the airport, right? You can present your booking of the ticket together with your identity and also pay for any excess wages to the single tap of your phone, right? And then at the gate, you no longer need, there is at least this availability from a technological perspective. There is no need to pre-store biometrics of the passengers. As you pass through the smart gate, you can tap your phone, fetch the biometric information from the phone inside the smart gate, do a liveness check with your face as you're passing through the gate, and then go through border control and the security check. Of course, we're talking about within Aegean now, right? These are all travels within the Aegean where the EUDI wallet is applicable. So yeah, it is definitely looks like the wallet can be a disruptive technology for the travel industry.
In fact, it's not the digital identity per se. The digital identity, it is the starting point for creating a bunch of services. In fact, beyond the identity documents, the wallet allows for strong customer authentication with a specific process applied now to the banks. But of course, this will be available to everyone, double-checked customer identification, which is important for the security of any operation, and payments. So that's a functionality added to this wallet. So this is the plan, but in order to provide this integrated experience. So if you have identification, strong customer authentication in the case of where that authentication is needed, payments, and of course the instant reception of the necessary document you need and for which you submit your identity credential, so that provides a real novel customer experience. We call them fast checkout model, and as Nikos explained, we are going to apply that to the ferry industry, and people are really interested and happy customers. So we run a pilot now in Europe, specifically in Romania, with Romanian students, because we are working with Transylvania Bank, with the Romania Bank, very advanced in terms of technology provision. So we test the system through a number of students which become customers for the ferry company, and they issue tickets and they pay for these tickets, and they identified immediately. They use their student card to obtain a price reduction. So this is something that happens right now. I believe in mid of July we'll make public the results of this testing pilot, and the first results are very promising. People, the service providers and the users, the customers are really happy to use this system.
If I may add, there is also a very strong regulatory push for this. So the regulation states that all services or relying parties required by law to offer strong customer authentication must accept the European Digital Identity Wallet as a means of strong customer authentication. So this was like the first step we took. This was the reason we went down this road with the ferry industry. But what we learned is that apart from the stick, there is also a very big carrot here. We feel, as Petros said, that this fast checkout flow really offers a competitive advantage to the ferry company, and they are really eager to not only pilot this, but also put it into production, because it really makes the user journey much more seamless and fluent and easy for everyone.
This is the opportunity, and I can say that at several levels we also seek a coordination with other countries. So this is the current policy of the European Union, to have a cooperation on these matters with other countries, for example with Canada. So there are a lot of discussion now between the European Commission and the government, the federal government of Canada, in order to make the standards compatible with each other. And at a lower level, because you can see several implications stemming out from these technologies, we have a cooperation between universities. Next week I will be in Gulf, where a number of European universities, collaborative European universities, will meet with MIT in order to extend an initiative that already exists, digital academic credentials. So the idea is that every student around the world will have a digital credential, several digital credentials in their wallet, so they can prove their identity and the level of their education, diplomas, eventually other training, specializations. So that's the move to create credentials for in every activity of our life, and of course for airline companies and airports. It is certainly an opportunity, and we'll see how important the opportunity. Rob represents a company with a lot of activity in the domain of identity technology, several years ago, and of course with a huge specialization in the domain of biometrics. So how we can use biometrics in order to identify customers. And with Rob and Tech5, we are working now, we're partnering in order to make this approach more compatible with the biometrics, so to meet these two flavors, the new EU identity wallet with the tradition of biometrics. Rob, what is Tech5 exactly, and how do you envision this new world of digital wallets and biometrics being together?
Thanks, Petros. Morning, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to speak today. Let me tell you a little bit about Tech5, but before I do, let's just touch on biometrics. And forgive me if I'm going to tell you something really obvious, but it's sometimes the obvious things that we forget to start from. So what's biometrics? Biometrics is things about you that are unique to you, that we can measure and record and use to verify you. So it can be your face, your fingerprints, your iris pattern, not retina. People talk about retina scans. We never do retinal scans, it's just the iris. It can be your voice, it can be the way you walk, it can can be the veins in your hand, and at the ultimate level, it can be your DNA. But all of those are biometric, things you can measure about a person. Tech 5 is specialised in 3 of those areas, which is face, finger, and iris. And the reason for that is we are the company behind many countries' national databases. So we have a person here from Turkey today. In Turkey, both the criminal system for registering people's fingerprints and the civil system for face, finger, and iris is a Tech 5 matching system to enroll people, get them in the database, check there's only one person for one record, and then to match them as they apply for documents, move around, etc. So Tech 5 has this huge history in biometrics. All the Tech 5 team comes from 30 years in the identity industry, but the company's only 7 years old. So we're a Swiss company based in Geneva, but we have 15 offices around the world. I'm based in Lisbon, Portugal. We have offices as far apart as the US and Dubai, and we have projects on all continents. So as I say, we are the company behind the biometric systems of many countries, not only national ID databases, but relevant to this audience, passport databases. So all of you who've travelled to Greece this last few days to get here, you all use biometrics because every e-passport has your face as a minimum in the chip. What happens at the border is, and really forgive me if I'm telling you something you all know, but again, back to basics, when you present that passport, the reader of that passport, whether it be an automated gate or a person using a reader, is firstly checking that the passport meets all the criteria. It's been properly issued, it's issued by a country that's recognised, it's valid, it's in date, and all the things you would expect. And then it's taken the facial image from the passport, comparing it to the live facial image and the one on the chip. Okay? Some countries also add fingerprints to their passport, that's optional. That checking is typically only done in the home country when you return. So the checking of fingerprints is not done at the foreign border. So that's sort of the basics. So Tech 5 has projects, as I said, all around the world. Our biggest reference is the second biggest national ID project in the world, which is Indonesia. In Indonesia, we have the government has, and I stress this, Tech 5 doesn't hold anybody's data. Tech 5 provides the technology and the matching algorithms for all of this to work, but Tech 5 owns no data and does not want to own any data. In Indonesia, largest national ID project in the world after India, which is the biggest with 1.4 billion people. Indonesia is 220 million people and growing. In that database are 220 million faces, 440 million irises, roughly, because obviously there are a few people with only one eye, and approximately 2.2 billion fingerprints. Okay? In Indonesia, if the police take a photo of somebody in the street who is suspected of a crime, our matching system, when the police send the image to the system, our matching system can find that person from their face in 2.5 seconds or less. Okay? So that's our biggest project. Our biggest contract, though, actually has nothing to do with any of that. It's in the state of Virginia in the US, where if anybody is suspected of a crime, all of the police forces throughout Virginia, all of the law enforcement agencies, of which there are more than 250, have or will have, because we're still implementing the project, the equipment to take people's fingerprints, get their mugshots, get their iris images, and either, if they're not in the system, put them in the system, or if they are in the system, find them and trace them to see what are the crimes they may have committed. Okay? So that's briefly about Tech 5, but where all this takes us is that this vast experience in different biometrics and in dealing with governments and in banks and telcos and everything else that we do led us to a conclusion that actually biometrics on its own is only the start, and the convergence of biometrics with identity leads you to what we call digital public infrastructure, which is exactly what we're talking about here, the ability to use biometrics to create credentials in a digital wallet held on a phone. But I'll give you a quick overview of how we can do it for people without a phone shortly. But typically in a smartphone, within that wallet, so if you see the wallet as the bag that you carry, the credentials are any other documents you want to put in that bag. And here's the thing, you could start off with the main credential being your national ID or your passport, but if you want to create a credential for, let's be stupid, Pizza Hut, okay? If Pizza Hut want to create a loyalty credential, they can use the basic data on your biometrics to create that credential. They don't trust anybody. You can choose to do it as a citizen. So that wallet can contain hundreds of credentials once the wallet has been created. So that's a brief introduction of Tech 5. I'm here to hopefully answer any questions you have about how that pertains to travel. But I'll stress one thing, I'm not here to talk about immigration. Somebody mentioned earlier, immigration is covered in all aspects by ICAO, which I've worked with for 25 years. I used to work for the world's largest passport producer. So I used to go to the ICAO event in Montreal every year. I've spoken there, I've been involved in. I know how long it takes the international community to make any changes to e-passports. And we're not touching that. Biometrics in e-passports is well covered. What we're here to talk about is the two things of facilitation and security when it comes to the other touch points of the journey, as we say, from sofa to plane, but not including immigration. So we're talking about check-in, whether remote or in person at the airport, addition of luggage, security, where at most, we may present a boarding pass, but there's no real check to see if it's really your boarding pass, okay? And then at the gate, in order to get on the plane. So that's the limit of what I'll talk about.
Specifically for the airport, it is a real opportunity since the airports can really make economies of investment instead of implementing systems which store the identity of the passengers. Biometrics, which is really expensive and it's really dangerous from a security point of view, so they can use the wallet, the service of the wallet in order to securely identify the customer. The biometrics are used through the flow of the passenger in the different airport service, and when the passenger leaves, there is no trace behind.
Exactly. I just forgot to say one thing, if I may, a little plug for Tech 5, but this is important. In this move into what we call digital public infrastructure, we've won two very important national projects. One is in Ethiopia, which is the second biggest country in Africa with 120 million people, second only to Nigeria. The other one is in a much smaller country, which is Honduras. But they're both very important in that they're the first of their kind in the world. And the reason they're important is where we started from. So in Ethiopia, Tech 5 was responsible for the original database, the matching engine, to allow people to enroll and have their biometrics checked, make sure everybody gets only one ID, okay? But with our wallet offering, we've now launched with Ethiopia, and I have a video on this that I can show people on my laptop if anybody's interested, a very short video. But the reason I'm telling you something about Ethiopia, you're thinking, well, what's that got to do with EU travel? It is everything that we're talking about here, but now being implemented on a national scale in a few months. Because this is just software, you can go from zero to launch very, very quickly. And what happens in Ethiopia is because everybody's identity, what they call the foundational identity, resides in that national database, which Tech 5 doesn't touch. Tech 5 helps create, but doesn't touch. What happens is people can download this new wallet from the government and get the wallet on their phone. First thing they do is they bind themselves to their wallet using biometrics. This is the bit after documenting. Everybody's familiar with selfies, using biometric selfies to maybe open a bank account or whatever. We've also pioneered the ability to add fingerprints to that. Now in Ethiopia, they have your face and your fingerprints in the database. We've patented technology where you can use the back camera of your phone to capture your fingerprints, and they're backward compatible with the fingerprints in the database. And so people can, because their biometrics are in the database, they get their wallet, they create the first credential, which is their national digital ID in the wallet. Thereafter, nobody ever checks the database again. Why? Because the credential they've created in this wallet is now trusted, because it comes from a trusted source. And unbelievably, in Ethiopia, of all places, one of the least developed countries in the world, where 70% of people don't have a bank account, when this project launches in the coming 2 months, people will be able to get this ID in their wallet, and the next thing they can do without visiting a branch of a bank is open their first bank account from their phone. Because the bank can trust their ID. The bank knows that it came from the government. This is a project backed by Visa. Visa is a strategic global partner of Tech 5. So, again, all of what we're doing ties directly to this.
Very obviously, it is easier for Honduras or Ethiopia to develop, to become early innovators than for US, for example, where the federal government should coordinate with the local states. In Europe also, the European Commission should coordinate with the member states. But in Europe there is the policy initiative, it is called EUDI 2.0. It is a new regulation framework that allows the issuance and the verification of these credentials. And of course, beyond the legislation, there is the political willingness to go fast towards this direction and infuse all these technologies not only within the governments but also within the private sector, within the different verticals. So give the verticals, the different industries the possibility to use these credentials and benefit from the possibilities that we are opening up now. This is in brief the story, so we have like 5 to 10 minutes to ask questions. Yes, please.
I just, well, thank you very much for the insight. Are there any data protection issues, either through NTU regulations, for example, on data protection, or the different results in different countries?
Yeah, it's obviously a very important question and something that's on everyone's mind. So, from my point of view, from the technology side, the technology fits in with the legislation and the regulations. So, if you're talking about GDPR, for example, the technology we give, that we integrate, holds no data. And so it's all done at the government level. And as long as the legislation that is put in place and the framework about the relying parties and their use of data, etc., is regulated according to GDPR, then the technology allows it.
And when you hack the system, what happens?
Which system? That's the point. Which system? Because there is no system. With the wallet, you're not hacking a system.
So that's the whole idea, that the credentials are stored inside the device of the user. So essentially,
you can hack one person at a time.
Exactly, yeah.
You can hack one person.
Yeah, and that takes a long time with millions of people. But it's facetious, but it's true. Today, the way people verify ID is they go to a database. In the US, if a policeman stops me with my US driver's license, he makes a hit on the DMV driving license database. And of course, if he can do that, that means it's an open channel for lots and lots of potential vectors of attack, as we call them. The day that that identity of mine can be verified here and you can trust it, and you don't go back to the database, there is no database to go back to. So you can hack me maybe, but you don't get all 10 million records in the database.
We are in the tradition of decentralized, like the very decentralized, so the possibility of hacking to translation.
Take the in-country operator, and we have mostly the big customers, and we realize that only after they arrive, their suitcases have been designed. Is there any way about technology that people know about the nuggets staying behind before they get to the airport? This is my question.
I don't think that touches on biometrics, but I use air tags in, I'm sure you all use a similar thing. I put air tags in my luggage, so I get off the plane, and I know that if, my luggage stayed in Paris and never made it to wherever I'm flying. But that's not quite what you're getting at. Are you saying that if I get on the plane, I'd quite like to know my luggage?
Why they're flying
in
the flight? Before we arrive, passengers know about that, so that they can advise the tour operator, us for instance, so that we get help, because you said that the customer is the king, okay?
Yeah.
Then, for the luxury travel, we have to help customers to proceed to the listen, find their or to go to the airport, pick up the luggage, take it to the hotel, and so on.
I think I think that's a question for the logistics providers of luggage systems, and that would absolutely not be me. One thing we can do, though, collectively, is we can print onto that luggage tag that you put on your luggage, so onto physical things, we can print your biometrics, and that's very new. Until very recently, you could only store biometrics in a chip because of the amount of data needed. We've developed a print. For those of you who have my business card, you'll see this on the back of the card. It's got inside that code that's printed on there is a compressed image of my face, a biometric template of my face, and a biometric template of 2 of my fingerprints. Potentially over the top for luggage, I grant you. But what you can do is for security, and it doesn't answer the logistics question, you could actually print that on the luggage side. It's no use to anybody else because it's a proprietary code that you need the issue of software to read. But it would, when the case arrives, you can actually now check the person. You use a mobile phone, take a photo of the person, and check the luggage is really there. That would be an advantage.
This is one of the challenges for the future. We are planning to address this in several ways, as Rob explained. Eventually, we will progressively create an identity not only for persons, but also for thieves. And so luggage is such a thing.
Because the people travel in first class or business class, so they expect this kind of service. So we have to provide this because then they choose us because somebody else does not doing it. So we have to take care of the luggage and find them in the room if possible, but we have to take care of it.
Actually, I can tell you that in the next 2 years we will run a project specifically on the needs of the transportation of the airlines and airports to identify issues that we can resolve, provide solutions. And this is a project called Aptitude. It will start in 2 months from now. A lot of the European industry participate under the coordination of French government. So Frappo is part of this project, and we will have the opportunity to work with Frappo together in order to find solutions. Also for the needs of the because the luggage is valuable.
Because some of these people get to a cruise and they have to go immediately to get the boat, so that sometimes we lose the cruise because of the delay of the luggage. So how they can go on the cruise if they don't have the luggage?
There's certainly room for improvement, and I believe we have now the technology, including AI technology, in order to, I believe in several years, in 5 years from now, we'll have solutions for the binding the passenger with the luggage in a way that's impossible to lose the so that's the
Thank you very much for that.
Petro, I have a question. This is a EU wallet, but you know, ICAO is an organization that standardizes the passport, for example, and there's a dual dot of work over this direction. Do you believe this can be something you're going to see? Are you in touch with ICAO that this EU can become the norm globally in the future, working of course because it's the decision of every government in every state?
Well, first of all, there has been made a decision, but inside the EU you have to accept the wallet. So while ICAO operates globally, the EU regulates course only in the EU space. Of course, we all understand that it doesn't make sense to require multiple apps and multiple wallets in order, for example, to take a flight to Paris and then to New York, right? So we expect that there will be a convergence. There are discussions. At the moment the technologies are very close together, but they're not identical. However, as the EUDI wallet becomes a reality, it will be a reality by the end of 2026. We believe that we will see a convergence in the technologies and eventually an interoperability. Of course, we should also note that the EUDI wallet is not only an app for EU citizens. You have to be an EU citizen in order to enroll your legal identity, your national ID, right? But you can operate such an app and just onboard your passport, for example, and then use it to add additional credentials and so on. So while there is work to be done ahead, definitely interoperability is something that's on everyone's radar.
But at the same time, we developed this European approach we are working towards the coordination with other countries, as I explained before, but beyond that, there is the market itself, which is going to create projects and possibilities provided to the different customers. For example, in the University of the Aegean, we test the compliance of the Google wallet with the European standard. So this is we do right now.
In collaboration with Google.
In
So
collaboration
Google,
with Google.
Apple have already started looking into convergence and conformance to the standard.
You can certainly imagine having different wallets for different countries and eventually wallets with global presence, like for example the Google wallet, or wallets like Tech5, or wallets coming from other European companies. So we are in a very evolving world, where we can see many offerings from the industrial sector, and I believe in a few years from now we'll have all these wallets and the customer, the passenger can select the wallet the passenger needs, and it's more adapted to we make a different possibilities for the business travelers compared with the regular travelers. So we are very, very evolving.
It's not a matter of a single app, basically, as we were saying in the beginning. It's a matter of technology, infrastructure, interoperability with respect to specification standards. Exactly, yeah.
But there are huge opportunities as well for the commercial organisations involved in this. You know, you think about airlines, all of a sudden you've got the ability to combine travel and security, the usual stuff, with payments, with loyalty, with tracking, not tracking, sorry, with follow-on for your customers, you know, ability to give them offers, all sorts of alerts while they're in the country they travel to, all of that sort of stuff.
White label wallet.
I wanted to ask, you said that my biometrics are not stored to any database.
Only the one that originally the government you trusted when you applied for your national ID or your passport.
They have my...
Of course they've got it. Of course they
So
have.
when the matching is happening, it's happening with their database.
Yeah, just once.
Just
But in the way it is now when you apply for a new
So
passport.
the same like it is now.
Yeah.
And the other question was, you said that you are not involved with the immigration.
What we're not trying to do is solve the immigration.
So my European, my EUDI will not be recognized by the immigration when I travel and I pass through the immigration. I still need to carry my printed passport for them.
Well, so I defer to my colleague. It will eventually, yes, that's the idea.
That's not at the first stage. So there is this type of travel documents, which are travel documents, right? Type 1, type 2. In some cases, you need to have your physical passport with you in order to present this e-pass, so you can pass the security checks with your wallet. But there might be selective checks of the physical documents.
So usually this is the point where you have the disruption of the experience of the
Yeah,
passenger.
and it's moving that way. So think of it like credit cards, you know. When I first put a credit card on my phone, and then eventually when I put it on a watch, I was sort of skeptical. I was like, yeah, what if the phone doesn't work? My kids don't want cards. My kids won't carry cards. Yeah. Now, they've already accepted that the Visa card that I associate with my payment isn't a thing to them at all. They don't want it. So I think that the passport will go the same way.
But as you mentioned before, hacking can happen on a personal level. So if I lose my phone, if someone stole my phone, they may have access to this data somehow.
No, it's not that easy.
But this is where I'm going to slightly diverge from what you said, and I don't want to create an argument between the panel here, but
It's constructive, why not?
No, it is constructive, and Tech5 doesn't make the rules, but Tech5's approach to this is not to bind the identity to the phone. Why? Not to bind your identity to your phone.
Okay.
What we do is we bind it to the wallet on the phone, so we don't care which phone it sits on. The reason is simple. If you're a caregiver for somebody that you need to travel with and check in for, or whatever, it could be your kids, it could be a disabled person, it could be an old person who can't use a smartphone. There are lots of reasons why people can't, we can't force everybody to have this credential on their own device, correct? If you're in that situation, we have ways, and I can discuss this at length, it's probably not the time here, but whereby your phone can hold multiple people's wallets. And why not? Because what happens today physically, if you travel with 3-5-year-old private under kids, you're carrying their passports. You don't give them their passports. You've got them in your bag. It's a similar thing. So the phone can carry their wallets, but here's the other thing. If it's just your wallet or multiple wallets, you lose the phone, there is a procedure where you notify the authorities that you've lost that phone, they kill the wallet, and then next time you get a phone, you go through the same procedure you went through originally to get your original wallet
I have to follow the
back on
procedure
the new
again.
phone.
same
Think
as
about
losing your physical
upgrading your
The
iPhone.
same thing I have to do if I change my phone.
Correct. Exactly the same thing.
So there are several provisions. Which
As long as I carry a laptop with me, then I can cancel it. If I cannot, then I will lose it.
As long as you have access to the internet of somebody.
Okay.
So there are several provisions and double checks, security double checks to avoid this kind of situation or to find solutions when an accident happens.
The basic of what you heard now is a government recognizing and approving the system, right? Is that something an individual or an airline can do in that manner without the government?
Yes, tomorrow. Yes. Yeah. So this discussion is all about what the EU is doing. But a private organisation or a parastatal organisation or a combination of the two can start tomorrow doing this. They can integrate what the governments eventually do when they eventually do it, but they don't have to wait for them.
Yeah, exactly. And be prepared and be completely interoperable. But it's this thing we were discussing before about white label wallets, right? There is nothing that could stop, for example, an airline to create a white label wallet that operates under the exact same principles, is completely interoperable in the systems that will be available in the EU, but also has additional benefits for the customers, like creating a direct communication channel with the
Let's give an example. So the question is not quite the question about luggage, but we mentioned luggage before. If an airline decided to increase both security and traceability of luggage, and somebody sat in their strategic meetings and said, you know, I think we would have a good lead on our competitors if we could say to our travellers, when you get to the other end, if you lose your luggage, if you want to be sure nobody else can walk off with your luggage when it does get delivered, we can add your biometrics to the baggage tag. We can do that tomorrow. So all you do is you say, download this travel wallet from ABC Airline, okay? Add your personal data, which typically would be your passport. So if anybody's ever done this with a passport or an ID card, you use the chip on your passport with your phone using the wallet. It talks you through the steps. Take the data off the passport, match yourself to that data so that you've got some security and liveness to know that it's not somebody else using a photo of my passport. Okay, so it checks that it's a real person. You create the credential on the wallet. You've now got an airline wallet with an airline credential that no government will recognise, but we don't care. But the other end, because we can use that credential you've created now to print with this code I mentioned, your identity, if you like, on your luggage tag. At the other end, if your luggage isn't there, you go to your hotel and then they call you the next day and say, your luggage arrived. If you want to know that somebody else can't go to the airport and get your luggage, that would be the solution. You can tell, and by the way, they don't even need to see your data on the phone. If my code on my luggage is 12345, they say to me, okay, you say you're Mr. Smith, please verify yourself on your wallet. You verify yourself on your wallet. You don't show your phone to anybody. My wallet gives me the code 12345 and they say, okay, this is your luggage. That can be done tomorrow.
Actually, the airline companies are the first users of this opportunity. We have been working together with Amadeus in order to create a pilot demonstration of how airline companies can use the EUDI wallet to issue boarding passes. I believe that border control authorities will be the last customer because they have some they are revisited It is a very difficult area for the penetration of innovative technology. But in the project I mentioned before, Aptitude, will start in a few months. There is an agreement between the French government, the German government, the Italian government to work together in order to explore the possibilities of using the wallet for border control checks. So I cannot promise a quick progress, but I believe that we are in that way. We are in that way. So governments now, another part of government, because the border control authorities are specific parts to government, and in Europe in close cooperation between them. So eventually we'll use or explore the use of the EUDI wallet in this. So it will take time, but I believe we are in that way. Airline companies and airports are the first customers, and then I believe the whole industry, hotels, for example. Hotels now join this move of credentials for obvious reasons. No need for identification when you arrive in a hotel, and
Well,
it will become priority.
I wouldn't say no need for, because in many countries you have to give your passport.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: once they can accept your wallet, what they don't need or want to do, and I hate this everywhere I go, is to take a photocopy of my passport. I hate the fact that hotels around the world have a copy of my passport. That's awful. It's the last thing we should be happy with. So with the wallet, what you're doing is they can, again, it's saying, your passport credential in your wallet is trustable. They get the minimum data they need. They don't get your
Selectively provide information.
electric disclosure, as we call it. They get your name, date of birth, nationality, or whatever it is they minimally need, nothing else, and they certainly don't get a photo of your passport. Well, I just wanted to add one thing. The journey through the airport, there's often the question about using facial recognition at all the touch points to make sure that the person checked in is the person who got on the flight. And the reason it usually doesn't get anywhere is because of this idea of creating a facial database, even a temporary one, even a database for that day, okay? With the wallet, you don't need to, because at each touch point, you can just say to people, please verify your face against your wallet, okay? You could either show something or communicate something that says, this is the person we're looking for. No data in the database to check them.
This greatly reduces the necessary costs.
Is there any
The
question?
travelers
Because
have already
Kostas
made
wants to...
investments.
Any last question before we move?
Okay, well,
We are here in any case. Okay, good.
Then.
Thank you very much. Thanks.